Thank you for tuning in to Retirement Well. We have a great show lined up for you this week. First, we're going to be talking about phased retirement. Sometimes retirement just isn't a line in the sand where you go into work one day and don't go back the next day. Sometimes there's a phased in process for that. Then we're going to be getting into talking about, well, most retirement calculators might be lying to you. Ashley from our team is going to be diving into what those are and what are some of the things you need to be watching for when you're looking at that and some of the things they may not be telling you. Then we're going to be talking about, are you worried about market volatility? Those ups and downs have you sleepless at night? What are some things that you can be doing to better position yourself to help you rest easier at night? And to conclude the show, our own Nick Greenman over in the Gaylord office is going to be talking about RMD tax bombs and how to defuse those MacGyver style. All that and so much more coming up right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk. In this episode, we want to talk a bit about this concept of phased retirement. That seems to be some terminology that we've been hearing from a number of people lately, and so we sort of want to walk through as we see the workplace is evolving, so are your retirement needs. People are living longer, and so with that, ultimately, people are working longer, and now there's greater financial complexity when it comes to retirement planning. So with that, Art, this concept of phased retirement, what do you think?
No, absolutely, John. I think over the years, retirement has evolved. And a lot of people think of retirement as, one day on a Friday, you punch out for the last time and you walk away and you go off to your vacation home or you sit in the rocking chair, whatever you're going to do for your retirement. But sometimes we're seeing kind of this slow transition to where it's almost like a gradual slowdown where maybe it's a few less days a week, or maybe it's a few more vacation days every now and then, or kind of, again, this concept of just easing into retirement for kind of a litany of different reasons, but just giving some people some different flexibility versus just that line in the sand, I'm going to retire.
Yeah, and I'll give you a couple of examples of that have worked well or maybe not so well. So one, using my own mom, she's worked in the special education world here in the greater Grand Traverse area and everything, and so ultimately had retired, and then former boss had said, hey, why don't you come back a day, maybe 2 days a week and everything, which she thought, okay, maybe I could do that. That was sort of a way to phase into retirement. And pretty soon, though, that 1 or 2 days became 3 and then 4 and then 5 days. Right. And she quickly realized that's no longer retirement at that point. So, but on the flip side, client that lives now down near the Cadillac area, he'd been with this company for 30 plus years and ultimately sort of worked his way up the corporate ladder and been a great asset for this company. And he was in his late 50s and sort of felt like, well, maybe I'm a little too young to fully retire, and so essentially communicated with his employer about, well, here's the direction I'd like to go, and ultimately they came to an agreement where he could be a sort of a contracted work and ultimately be able to work remotely 2 days a week, and that still allowed he and his wife, the ability to still travel and do that, and ultimately just work a couple days a week and still provide and delay some of those other things that come along with it, especially if you're looking to retire maybe a little bit earlier than normal.
Absolutely, John. That retiring early dream allows that, and there's can be a benefit for both sides. In your story, both of your examples you gave, the employers wanted that talent back. They wanted those folks they could trust back to have in their organizations because they knew they'd done a great job. And we hear that from time again from business owners we work with that, they have these great valuable employees they hate to see retire. not because they don't want them to enjoy their retirement years, because they desperately need them into their organizations. And the other thing from the employee perspective is, think of the different benefits that that employee or that family may have. One, if you're younger, you might be able to continue health insurance. If maybe you're on a group plan or through your employer, health insurance we often find can be one of your single biggest expenses, especially in those early retirement years and bridging that gap until you get to Medicare. You can delay your Social Security, allowing that to further grow and benefits as they rise as you delay that later on in life. And then also delaying those retirement withdrawals, your IRAs or the savings that you have, further delaying those off as you're getting pay or getting compensation for continuing to work in this job and kind of phasing that out into retirement.
Yeah, and one of the last pieces outside of the financial aspect and everything is that emotional piece of retirement. How you've been working, say, for this company for a number of years, you've built a lot of great relationships within that employer and everything, and now all of a sudden it's just cutting off, and that can be quite challenging for folks to make that transition. So as you're hearing us talk about this concept of phased retirement, and maybe you're wondering, is that even a possibility for you financially? We encourage you to give us a call. We'd love to sit down with you, run through all the different numbers aspect, and see, is it something that you could essentially retire now, or even go back to your employer and talk about the possibility of phasing into retirement. So we encourage you to give us a call here.
If you are nearing retirement or already retired, we invite you to an exciting and informative live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner to help you plan to retire well. There is no cost and no obligation, and dinner is on us. Information is power. Let us help you make educated financial decisions, such as, what does the one big beautiful bill mean for your financial future? The Fed and your retirement, understanding the impact on income. The silver tsunami, planning for rising healthcare costs in retirement. Your 401k, how much is yours and how much belongs to the IRS? Maximize your Social Security benefits tailored to your situation. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial professionals, specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan, with offices in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, Cadillac, and Manistee. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. Wednesday, November 5th at Lakeside Charlie's in Cadillac. Thursday, November 6th at Cambria Suites in Traverse City. Thursday, November 6th at Benetham's Northern Inn in Gaylord. Or Thursday, November 20th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend, with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today. Don't miss this important live event to help you plan to retire well. Choosing the right Medicare plan for you can be a daunting task. We can help you navigate the different parts of Medicare and identify which benefits are important for you to receive. Download our free white paper, Understanding Medicare. Know your options and costs, and be informed. Let us help you make educated decisions that are best for your situation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com, scroll down, and click the link Understanding Medicare. Know your options and costs to receive your free copy of this valuable and informative resource.
Have you ever used a retirement calculator online? You plug in your age, your savings, maybe your income, and out pops this pretty little number that shows that you are on the right track for retirement or you're headed for trouble. Well, I'm here to tell you the truth on those retirement calculators. They could be lying to you. And they're not malicious, they're not out to get you, but they are dangerously oversimplified. And if you end up relying on this plan for the next 30 years, you could be headed for a little bit of trouble or blindsided by a future that you weren't prepared for. So problem number one is these calculators use generic assumptions. And here's the issue. Retirement calculators use the average lifespan, the average spending, average inflation, average market returns even, and let's face it, we are not average. What if you live into your 90? What if inflation goes above that retirement calculator quote? What if you decide that you want to travel the world and you also want to give some money to your grandkids for college? A calculator won't ask you those questions. It gives you a one-size-fits-all for a one-of-a-kind life. And in retirement, there are no do-overs. And you can't afford to have a close enough estimate. That's why we created the Retiring Well YouTube channel. There's lots of good tidbits in there that can give you some sort of insight on some questions that you should be asking yourself for retirement. So feel free to like and subscribe, go to our YouTube channel. And then problem number two, they ignore tax strategies. They assume that you have a flat tax rate your entire life. And that is just completely wrong. If your money is in pre-tax accounts like 401k or a traditional IRA, taxes could hit you hard if you keep that all the way up until retirement, especially when required minimum distribution starts to set in. And then what about Social Security? What about those taxes? What about Roth conversions? There is just so many different tax strategies or so many different aspects of taxes that those retirement calculators cannot give you. So if you don't have plans for taxes in retirement, I would definitely recommend to go and speak to a licensed professional on this. We'd love to get a real plan in place for you. If you come visit us in any one of our Northern Michigan locations, we offer tax planning strategies and financial advising as well. And then problem number three is they don't adjust for risks or life-changing events. Let's say your spouse passes away when you just don't expect it. Let's say that markets don't return as much as that investment calculator says it's going to. Life can be so different from what those calculators can project. So for healthcare costs even, those healthcare costs could be a lot higher than what those projections are for that retirement calculator. So a good plan doesn't just plan for the best, it plans for the worst as well and gets you prepared for that. That's why we invite you to sit down in any one of our Northern Michigan locations and we can talk about a comprehensive plan that is tailor-made to you, that we revisit over and over again as the years progress so that it is always going to work with you and you won't have any surprises over the years. So let's recap. Retirement calculators oversimplify the future. They ignore taxes, personalization, and real-world risk. And they lull you into a false sense of security. You deserve better. You deserve a personalized plan, not an algorithm's idea of it. So don't rely on a calculator to tell you what your future will look like. Subscribe to our Retiring Well YouTube channel for some really good, beneficial information, or give us a call for a free consultation to sit and talk to you about a personalized plan. Or you also can visit us in person at any one of our Northern Michigan locations as well to take that guesswork out of retirement.
Centennial Wealth Advisory is expanding, and we are excited to add a new office in Manistee to better serve our growing family of clients. Our new office is located in the historic Briney Building in the center of idyllic downtown Manistee. Whether you are an existing client or would like to meet for the first time for your free, no-obligation initial consultation, we look forward to welcoming you in our new office or at any of our Northern Michigan locations in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, Cadillac, or Manistee.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Living life isn't always easy. It puts up challenges and obstacles you'll have to overcome. There are responsibilities. You put in effort to provide and take care of your family, and to save and invest, to balance work and life. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well.
Hey, welcome to this segment on worried about market volatility. Here are some options you must know about. I'm going to start with a quick little story. I was out in the community just doing normal life stuff, and this person kind of knew, but not really, kind of came up to me and they kind of pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I heard you're doing some investing stuff. I have $100,000. Should I invest with you?" And I started to laugh a little bit. I was like, I don't know. What's the purpose of your $100,000? How do you want it to behave? And so we started kind of going back and forth a little bit. And some of the questions that I was asking is, and what it was really centered around is, what is the purpose of those funds? What are the tax accounts and ramifications of those accounts? Is this $100,000 in a tax-deferred 401k or IRA? Is this $100,000 in a Roth IRA? Is it in a taxable brokerage account? What's the purpose? When do you want to use it? How do you want it to behave? And as we were unpacking those different questions, one of the cool things that we get to do here at Centennial Wealth is we get to educate our clients and prospective clients to the point of a decision. And that's one of the best missions I think you could possibly have in this career. We don't really care what you decide, but we do very much care about your education and how we're going to be partners in that ever-evolving landscape of change. We get to educate you to the point of a decision. So as we were going through a lot of these layers, it was a taxable account, brokerage account, but they just did not want market volatility. This was money that was going to be used in the next 2 to 5 years, a little bit of unknown. So I said, okay, well, let's go through what those options look like. And here's what how your money can behave. Okay, so you basically have 4 different ways your money can behave. The first way, everybody's familiar with, it's at the bank, it's at a credit union. This would be no market risk. It's going to be liquid. You're going to be able to get at it really quickly. A lot of times you see people making maybe around 1%, if the bank or credit union are paying that. There's money market accounts that are going to have a better yield. Right now, those are roughly 4%. Okay, maybe use that as a high water mark. So if you're close to that, I think you're right on track with letting that money that's just going to kind of float around. You're going to be taking it out, maybe putting some more in, emergency fund, cash on hand. If you're leveraged up and getting the best kind of rate. But stays liquid and safe, that's a good spot. Maybe 6 to 9 months of expenses. Okay, the other way that on the far right side of this is the roller coaster of risk. Everybody understands that have ever invested what the bond market and stock market roller coaster of risk feels like. You know what it feels like to be going up, and you know what it feels like to then have those negative returns. And so they wanted to steer clear of the volatility of the bond and the stock market. So I said, okay, well, here are your couple options, okay? First one, let's just simplify it. Let's call it escalator money. Basically, you give up time and your money will contractually go up over that time. And so most of you are familiar with CDs. Okay, that would be kind of a behavior. Or you have MYGAs, multi-year guaranteed annuities. And they go from 2 years to 10 years. So you basically pick your time that you want to put that money in, and you can contractually get a certain rate of return. So no market risk, behaves like an escalator. And as you understand the pros and cons and you really narrow down the purpose, if you like the returns, cool, you might want to put some over there. The next one is one that I call stair-step money. Okay, so this one, we don't actually know what the growth is because the growth is linked to the market risk bucket, the roller coaster of risk. So let's just use the S&P 500 index as an example. So what happens with this stair-step money is for 1 year, you have no idea what it's going to do until the stock market, the index that you're following, okay, the S&P 500, if that is positive, then you can get a positive gain. You can earn interest. Your interest is linked to the gains in the market. Okay, that sounds great. Now, here's a really good reason why you might want to look at these. When the stock market goes from here to here and there's a big negative, this is where on that indexed annuity you get a 0% return. You have protected your principal. Okay, the money that you're going to be using in 2 or 3 or 4 years, you've already locked in that you can only go up. Sometimes you go up like an escalator, sometimes you go up like a stair step, but knowing the behavior, understanding the pros and the cons, but ultimately it's the purpose of your dollars. Where do you want your dollars across that spectrum? When you can understand where your dollars are in that behavior, you have a different sense of peace. Peace and purpose wrapped together is stuff that we love to package. So if you're sitting there wondering, I wonder if I should review where my money's allocated. We take on no obligation free meetings all the time. Sit down, educate you to the point of decision, and it's a mission that we love doing each and every day. So thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful.
If you are nearing retirement or already retired, we invite you to an exciting and informative live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner to help you plan to retire well. There is no cost and no obligation, and dinner is on us. Information is power. Let us help you make educated financial decisions, such as, what does the one big beautiful bill mean for your financial future? The Fed and your retirement, understanding the impact on income. The silver tsunami, planning for rising healthcare costs in retirement. Your 401k, how much is yours and how much belongs to the IRS? Maximize your Social Security benefits tailored to your situation. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial professionals, specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan, with offices in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, Cadillac, and Manistee. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. Wednesday, November 5th at Lakeside Charlie's in Cadillac. Thursday, November 6th at Cambria Suites in Traverse City. Thursday, November 6th at Benetham's Northern Inn in Gaylord, or Thursday, November 20th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today. Don't miss this important live event to help you plan to retire well. Choosing the right Medicare plan for you can be a daunting task. We can help you navigate the different parts of Medicare and identify which benefits are important for you to receive. Download our free white paper, Understanding Medicare. Know your options and costs, and be informed. Let us help you make educated decisions that are best for your situation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com, scroll down, and click the link, Understanding Medicare. Know your options and costs, to receive your free copy of this valuable and informative resource.
Have you ever seen the TV show MacGyver? Well, it was on in the 80s, early 90s or so, and I happened to stumble upon it a couple weeks back. If you've never seen the show, it's about a guy who, I think he works for some secret government organization, and they send him into these tense situations, and he doesn't use any weapons or anything like that. He just uses his brilliant mind, Swiss Army knife in his pocket, and kind of whatever's laying around. And so the episode that I caught, he was defusing a bomb, and I think he only had like a paper clip and some bubble gum, and he made it work, okay? And I know you're gonna laugh at me for this, but as I'm watching this show, as he's defusing this bomb, I'm thinking about financial planning and how I often equate RMDs to a ticking time bomb. And so that's what I want to talk with you about today. I want to talk with you about how to diffuse the ticking time bomb that is RMDs, and kind of how I'm, in a way, like MacGyver, helping you through that. So first off, what is an RMD? Well, RMD stands for required minimum distributions, and it's basically the IRS saying, hey, we want our money, okay? And it only applies to those pre-tax accounts that you have. So it'd be your 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, things like that, where you have never paid tax on that money, and Uncle Sam, he wants his cut, right? So at age 73, our government says you need to start paying tax on that money, and so they force you to take some money out. Well, how is this like a ticking time bomb, right? Well, for a couple different reasons. One being, the bigger or larger your pre-tax balance is, the larger your required minimum distribution is going to be when you get to that magical age of 73. So this can really impact your whole retirement plan in multiple different ways. The first way is, if you take out more income that you didn't know you needed to or didn't want, well, guess what? That can push you into a different tax bracket. So if you're in the 12% tax bracket now, you take out that RMD, it can push you in the 22% tax bracket. That's just one way on the tax side. Health insurance, it can affect that as well. At that point in time, you're on Medicare. You'd be subject to IRMA, or income-related monthly adjustment amount. So if you show too much income, your Medicare Part B premium would also increase. Okay, you don't want that. And then thirdly, you take out or show more income, that could make more of your Social Security become taxable. Okay, and nobody wants to pay more in taxes. So what do we do about that? What, as your financial advisor, MacGyver, what do we do about that? Well, we've got our Swiss Army knife. We've got tools that we can use to plan ahead to hopefully minimize those RMDs and help you retire well. Okay, so one of the tools that we're going to use is we're going to use early distributions. Okay, so let's say you retire a number of years under the age of 73. Let's say you're at 65, okay, and you have a Roth and an IRA account. Well, we're not going to touch the Roth account first, most likely. Everybody's situation is a little bit different. We're going to touch the pre-tax or IRA account to satisfy your income needs first, because we know, hey, later down the road, we're going to be forced to take money out of that account anyway. Another strategy is what's called a Roth conversion. Okay, we'll maximize your tax bracket where you're at today. Let's say it's the 12%. Maybe you got some wiggle room in there. We'll take money out of the pre-tax IRA accounts, pay the tax on it now, get it into the Roth so it grows tax-free for the rest of your life. Another strategy is QCDs. Okay, stands for Qualified Charitable Distributions. It allows us to direct money from your IRA to a charity, and you avoid the tax implications with that. And then finally, how about some diversification? Maybe when you're getting closer to retirement, or as you're working towards retirement, have different types of investment accounts. Not just an IRA or 401k, but a Roth account, and maybe a brokerage account as well, that allows you to pull income from different situations or different tax buckets of money. So, just like MacGyver, he doesn't go into a situation without a plan, right? He doesn't just clip all the different wires on that bomb and hope it doesn't go off. He knows what he's doing, and he has a plan, and he puts it into place to get out of those tough situations. So let us be MacGyver in your retirement plan and help you plan to retire well.